Hi, I'm Ted Godwin.
And I'm Drew Shaw.
And welcome to Lakeside Buoys TV. So Drew, we got a lot to talk about, I think, this episode, and let's get right into it. I'm so excited. Everybody was watching the Twitter feed, seeing the hilarious waiting at the airport from our PFC guy, and we have Alessandro Diaz coming in.
Hey Pacific FC fans, I'm Alejandro Diaz. I'm on my way to the island. Can't wait to be there. Looking forward to play on West Hill Stadiums. I'm really excited. See you soon.
Alejandro Diaz.
Pardon me, Alejandro Diaz. Well, we also know that he's been playing for a second division League MX, right? And was not a regular starter though. So this is one going to be opportunity for a youngster to shine. I think. Is that what you say?
I don't think it's a surprise that Pacific is going after a younger international player rather than an older retiree who's putting in time at the end of his career. So that's not a surprise, not at all.
No, it certainly slots in with the whole philosophy of the club. The only real question mark now becomes, does this leave a space for Marcus Haber?
Well, I think that's kind of the elephant in the room for the whole of the off-season, isn't it? I mean, looking at who's there, and also Ben, right? I mean, as the salary creeps up with other players, what's left?
Well, I guess that's interesting because I guess in my mind I've already assumed that Ben's gone. He's apparently on the list for a certain expansion club, which we'll talk about a little later. So my assumption has been that Ben just won't be here this summer, and Haber was still.
Well, the heart wants what the heart wants, right? and sometimes it denies what the mind is already telling it. So yeah,
this is true. So definitely net positive, though. Yeah.
Well, I mean this player has been with some big Mexican clubs, and there's a lot to be said for the environment. Imagine what the competition must be like to get into the Club America lineup when you're 15, 16, 14, going through that youth program. So that must be a real dog-eat-dog battle. So you know that a player has tenacity, they've got drive, they've got ambition, they've got desire, they've got to have some skill to go with that. So it'll be interesting. I look across the water and I watch the Whitecaps' constant flow of Latin American players. Some have been hit, some have been misses, but one of the constants is that none of them has really. I mean, can you name one of those players that stuck around and really is a Whitecap over 3 or 4 seasons? I'm struggling to do so. And
yeah, they come and go.
Yeah,
right?
And so that's the caution for me, is that we really want to make sure that we've got people that are committed to being here, building something. And might be out of their control as to whether they last, but that they come in with that idea, not just use Pacific FC and the CanPL as a springboard back to something else.
And what fascinates me as well, you mentioned a little bit, is his experience with the Mexican club system. So not just playing-wise, though. I think one of the things that this team needs, and all the CanPL teams need, are real veterans in the locker room and behind the scenes. And I was wondering what he's going to bring to that. Bring to the club, just because he is. Well, you say he's young, but he's been around for a few years.
Yeah, and I think too. I mean, as an outside observer, it's people talk about, what do you bring to the locker room? Well, I think it's like, what do you bring in terms of your daily habits? Like that to me is that training, that Monday to Friday. What is that player going to bring? And that's the example to our Canadian players that are getting drafted out of the university system, that are coming out of League One Ontario and whatnot, that have been working a job while they've been playing. Now they're in that position where they've got to do things. They're a professional all day long. Training, diet, no cheating, no stealing from the cookie jar when no one's looking, that kind of thing. And that's maybe easier to said than done.
Could be. Well, either way, anyway you cut it. Bienvenido, Alejandro. All right, next topic I'd like to address, if we could, sort of follows on from some of the talk from Alejandro and other leagues, is that it looks like we're going to be getting something in this league we've been totally lacking, and that's a players' union. The rumors are swirling around. There seems to be legs to it. What are your thoughts on a players' union?
Well, I thought you were going to give us your thoughts first there, shop steward.
I think everybody knows my thoughts. I'm 100% ready for the players' union. Should have happened already.
Yeah, so I mean, quite frankly, I'm surprised. I would not have thought that would be happening anytime this soon. I mean, here we are going to season 2, and it's already. So is that a positive? Probably. For those of us not able to see behind the account ledgers and whatnot, and kind of have to guess at what the finances are, if that's going to proceed, it's probably indicative of some positives on the ledger sheets. But is it? And it's a balancing act. As fans, we want the clubs to prosper. We want the league to prosper. We want the commercial side to prosper. But we also don't want the players treated like serfs. And
Exactly.
there can only be wages and compensation there that's commensurate with revenue, or at least you can't go too far into the red.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a lot of things from last year, seeing what Edmonton was doing versus Valor versus Pacific. Where's the training camp? I mean, pity the poor buggers at Edmonton having to go on sort of a bit of a camping trip while Pacific's players were out in Tofino, Ucluelet. So you can sort of see that as a microcosm of per diems, payment for attending camp. Just you don't want to see people. You don't want to see players getting hosed. You don't want to see them getting used, abused, and basically spat out the other end.
I got to say that what immediately comes to my mind was a certain video preseason last year from Pacific. I don't know if you remember this. And this was one of those get to know the player videos. And a certain young player cooking craft dinner in his little basement suite apartment. Yeah. And all I could think of was, man, you got to get a better contract.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, some of the contracts a lot of these players on are not exorbitant.
Oh, no.
They're not year long.
No.
It's not something that half or 2/3 of these players can actually earn a good living at yet. The reality is that.
Yeah.
And so, as there's a limit to how much they can push for, and as fans, our hearts go to them. But it can't be at the expense of the league, the clubs, and their solvency. So that's going to be the balance.
And what's interesting is that in terms of transparency, I'm thinking, or at least one might expect that like happened when MLS got their players' union. That was when we finally got some transparency on player salaries, because they eventually then started publishing so that you knew what they were making. Because that's a question that's been going on for the last year and a half, because there has been virtually no leakage about player salaries, which is really frustrating a lot of people who are wanting to know how successful the league is financially. So that'll be an interesting topic. So in more league news, we've got a pretty exciting announcement. Atletico Ottawa has now been finally announced. What do you think of that?
More than exciting, absolutely vital. When this league was founded last year, we kept waiting for the 8th club announcement. We knew it was going to be Ottawa, and it wasn't. So the schedule works with 8 teams, 7 opponents times 4 games, 28 games. The league bent over backwards. They were going to let the player contracts exist from Ottawa. They were going to make every accommodation possible, and we'll leave the aspersions for Ottawa and their actual intentions out of this. The reality is they're in now, and
They're in.
so midweek games, we're going to see fewer of them because the schedule can now be more evenly balanced.
Maybe.
We're seeing, I think, what is a proven Canadian soccer market at the levels, the fan levels that need to be there in order to make a team viable.
Yep.
The message for this about the growth, I think if Ottawa wasn't in and there was a gap there for a year and then it became 2 years, it would show, this league isn't going forward. But the fact that they're in, bam, just right away, it's like, wow, it's a real feel-good story. It signals to Quebec City, and it signals to Saskatoon, and then beyond that, maybe Fraser Valley and maybe Moncton, that the league is for real, it's growing. And you've got to have an even number of teams, an odd number of teams. As a CFL fan, when the CFL has 9 teams, it is so out of whack. It's like you've got to get that even number. So it's not just about being good, it's about being necessary. And 8, I think is the I mean, they did 7 last year, but 8 is like kind of a minimum threshold for the National League to operate at,
right.
and it really sets the stage, I think, for 10. It really sets the stage for 10. I think if Ottawa, if there was confusion, if there was lack of investment, if there was lack of interest in Ottawa, I think we'd see nothing from maybe Quebec and other sites. But now that Ottawa's there, I think it just ching. I think it makes Quebec plus. Talk to different people. I just asked Doon Fraserville. I think it makes that jump inevitable. Whereas until it happened.
Well, and I got to say that for me, it's really salvaged what was going to be a crappy year, because I went into the fall and even towards December, waiting and waiting and waiting for an 8th team announcement, and I'd kind of resigned myself at this point to 7 teams again, which was okay. I could try to live with it, but it was disappointing because it felt like we'd lost momentum. I mean, the league had great momentum going into the first year, and as you say, you need to start building. We need to keep that rolling, and so not having an expansion team in 2020 was, I thought, going to be a pretty serious blow to the future of the league. So, all power to them. It's great to see them in, and we can hardly wait to start abusing them.
Yeah, exactly.
So great to have a team in the league, but here's the thing: how about that fact that it's now going to be a foreign-owned team in a league that launched and has built its identity on by Canadians for Canadians.
Right, yeah. The Spanish are buying Canadians, aren't they? BUY. I mean, it's a cost-benefit analysis, isn't it? It's like, you know, and in the early part of the century, in MLS, they went through those doldrums where it looked like they might not make it. They took Chivas USA in, they let Red Bull buy the team in New Jersey, and I know for me, not having any stake in that league, I thought, oh, it's so Mickey Mouse. They're in the death spiral. I think the situation is very different for CanPL by doing this, but that doesn't mean I'm totally excited about it. In a perfect world, we would have 8, 10, 12, 14 Canadian ownership groups looking to build local clubs without that. And I don't like New York City FC in Major League Soccer. To me, it stinks too much of little brother to Manchester City. Nothing against them, but I just don't like the concept. And of course, the Red Bull teams in Leipzig and New York and Salzburg, I think, are disgusting. So I hope I love striped uniforms. I would love to see black and red in Ottawa. If they go red and white, I hope they do. But I think it'll send a real signal to the Canadian market and to the Canadian fan if that Ottawa team trots out in black shorts rather than blue ones, because that will be a real strong signal from Atletico that they are respecting the Canadian market and the Ottawa market. Whereas if they trot out in blue shorts, I think it'll be consistent with brand, but it will certainly, for me, it won't cause me to write off the club. I'm glad the money's being spent. I think what's going on is good, and I think it was good timing. But it'll signal to me that they're just there's not an attempt here to respect the local culture as much. But if they go black shorts, I will be happy to say that I am about 60-40 in favor of what's going on.
Well, I got to say, in terms of the branding, I would like to see what somebody posted online I saw last week was an ancient Ottawa Senators jersey. I don't know if you remember those ones. The black and red and white stripes. That would, I think, be the best.
That would be something else. But,
who knows with corporate branding what you're going to do. It's time to renew season tickets. It's also time to get your memberships for Lakeside Buoys. Now, make sure to give Drew here your $30. You'll be getting a great deal this year. We're going with scarves again.
Yes.
I think some new patches. And this year, we're going to be having a special discount card for use at the Yates Street Tap House. So that's going to be kind of exciting. Get a little value for your money.
2 for 1, and then more.
And then more.
So it's great. Yeah.
And of course, all the funds raised for Lakeside Buoys will help support our TIFO, our smoke, our banners. It'll be great.
And we know most of us have already renewed, like one day after the season ended last year, our season tickets. But hopefully, if you have a girlfriend, a boyfriend, children, family members, friends that you want to bring into the fold, you get a season ticket. Use the Lakeside Boy promo code right down here, and
LSB 2020.
That's right, and a little bit goes towards us.
Yep, it's gonna be great. So make sure you sign up. Sign up your friends. And speaking of Lakeside Boys, we've got some events coming up. We're trying to get ready for the season, warm it up, get back in voice, learn some new songs, but have some fun. So one of our first events is coming up on February 22nd. We're calling it Lakeside Bowls. We're going to be out at Langford Lane. We're going to get a couple of VIP lanes, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so a little early drinking. Bowling, sorry. And then we're going to hopefully have a good time. And I think any extra proceeds, if we actually manage to raise any, will go towards our charity fund. Lakeside Boys do support charities, and so we are trying to put some of that money aside for that. So sign up on the website or Facebook.
Date, time, location, be there.
Cool. Oh yeah, speaking of which, beer.
Beer.
We're drinking beer.
Beer.
We're
Island
drinking
beer.
good island beer.
Island brewed beer because we're Island fans.
Yeah, so the question has to become, what the heck's going on with the official beer of Pacific FC?
Okay, so back when Pacific launched, when we were at the launch party,
yeah,
and yours truly was a little bit of an insider there, I was really excited that Rob, Josh, and company had my favorite Victoria brewery there, Lighthouse, right? Mm-hmm. So it was there, and the signs were looking good that Lighthouse might take an interest in being the official beer of Pacific FC. That didn't happen. And what we saw happening was Phillips, local brewery in Victoria, not really being too excited about supporting Pacific, staying loyal to Highlanders, who they supported. But of course, we know what happened. Whitecaps courted them, and they're now supplying Whitecaps over Vancouver. So the Victoria Brewery is supporting the Vancouver Whitecaps.
So now, within, I believe it's 2 weeks or so, we're going to be having the official launch. We'll be able to actually purchase Russell beer. Russell Brewing.
From
Vancouver.
Of course, yes.
Will be supplying the official beer for PFC.
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of excited about having an official beer. I'm not so excited about not being on the island.
You know what, though? I brought some pipers to the shoot today because I knew there'd be thirsty lads. And I almost grabbed...
No endorsement implied.
No. I almost grabbed the Angry Scotch Ales. Well, and they're brewed by...
Russell.
In Vancouver.
I do love the Angry Scotch Ale.
So if we would have Angry Scotch, it would not just be me being the only Angry Scotch. It would be, in a bottle as well. So it'd be good.
All right, cheers.
Cheers. And we're almost done.
We're almost done. So thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to Lakeside Boys Television. We'll see you next time. I'm Ted Godwin.
I'm Drew Shaw.
See you on the pitch.
Cheers.
Just tell everybody what we're doing. Someone asked an elf. We're not. I'm not complaining. I've only had 4 beers.